Commander Jack Miller stood at the viewport of Earth's last functioning space station. His face showed no emotion as he watched the alien warships destroy what remained of humanity's orbital defenses. Bright flashes lit up the darkness of space. As each human vessel exploded, he clenched his fists so tight that his knuckles turned white. "Commander, we've lost the Europa base," said Lieutenant Frank Davis, his voice shaking. "The Mars colonies have gone silent too." Jack nodded but said nothing. He was the last surviving high-ranking officer of Earth's defense fleet. Just 3 days ago, there had been 12 commanders. Now there was only him. The Zetronian Empire had swept through their solar system like a storm. These aliens had already conquered 17 star systems before reaching Earth. Humanity had fought bravely, but their weapons were no match for the advanced technology of the Zetronians. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the alien flagship," said Communications Officer Lisa Green. Her hands trembled as she worked the controls. "They're demanding to speak with Earth's leaders." "Put it on the main screen," Jack ordered, straightening his uniform. The screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, gray-skinned being with 4 yellow eyes. The alien wore ornate armor that seemed to glow from within. This was Overlord Vexthor, ruler of the Zetronian Empire and the most feared being in this part of the galaxy. "Humans!" The alien's voice boomed through the speakers. The translation software struggled to keep up with his strange language. "Your resistance is both futile and amusing. You have fought with more spirit than most species, but the outcome was never in doubt." Jack stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Want? I want nothing from such primitive creatures. I am here to offer you a choice. Surrender unconditionally within 48 Earth hours, or watch as we turn your planet to ash." "And if we surrender?" Jack asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be good. "Then your species will serve the Empire, as all conquered races do. The strong will become laborers. The intelligent will be put to work advancing our science. The rest?" Vexthor paused. "The rest are unnecessary." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in silence. "Options?" Jack asked, looking around at the 5 other people in the room, all that remained of Earth's space. "Command," Dr. Olivia Wright, head of research and development, spoke first. "We have nothing that can penetrate their ship shields. Their weapons technology is at least a century beyond ours." "What about the ground forces?" Jack asked. "Communications are spotty, but they're organizing resistance," Frank replied. "It won't matter if the Zetronians start bombing from orbit." Jack walked to the tactical display and studied the position of the alien fleet. The massive flagship hung in orbit directly above the North American continent. 17 smaller but still enormous warships surrounded it in a perfect formation. "There has to be something we haven't tried," Jack muttered. Dr. Wright hesitated, then said, "There is one thing. Project Shadow." Jack turned to her with a questioning look. "It's an experimental stealth system," she explained, "designed to mask both ship and human life signs. It's never been tested in field conditions, but theoretically, it could allow a small craft to approach undetected." "To what end?" Jack asked. "We have no weapons that could damage those ships." "Not from the outside," Dr. Wright said quietly. "But if someone could get inside." A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications became clear. Jack looked back at the screen showing the Zetron. The small shuttle moved silently through space, its stealth systems making it invisible to the Zetronian sensors. Inside, Jack checked his equipment one last time. The experimental suit Dr. Wright had given him fit tightly against his skin. "Remember, the stealth field will only last for 6 hours." Her voice crackled through his earpiece. "After that, the power cells will burn out completely." 6 hours should be enough," Jack replied, though he wasn't sure if he truly believed it. "If I'm not back by then, I probably won't be coming back at all." The shuttle approached the massive Zetronian flagship from below. Up close, the alien vessel was even more intimidating. It stretched nearly 5 miles from end to end, with strange, glowing patterns running along its hull. Jack had memorized the limited information they had about Zetronian ship designs. If their intelligence was correct, There should be maintenance hatches that he could use to enter undetected. I'm approaching the target area now, Jack said, guiding the shuttle toward a section of the hull that appeared less heavily armored. Be careful, Jack, Dr. Wright said. The stealth tech should mask your biological signatures, but we've never tested it against Zetronian sensors specifically. Jack didn't respond. He brought the shuttle within 50 feet of the alien ship, then activated the magnetic docking system. With a soft thud, the shuttle attached itself to the Zetronian vessel's hull. Jack put on his helmet and checked the oxygen levels. I'm going in. Radio silence from here on unless absolutely necessary. He stepped into the airlock, waited for it to cycle, then pushed himself out onto the hull of the alien flagship. The vastness of space stretched out around him as he magnetized his boots to keep from floating away. Using the tools from his belt, he carefully opened what appeared to be an external maintenance panel. The opening was barely large enough for him to squeeze through. Inside, strange blue lights illuminated a narrow corridor filled with pipes and cables. The air was breathable according to his suit sensors, but he kept his helmet on. Better safe than sorry. Jack moved cautiously through the maintenance tunnels following the map Dr. Wright had created based on intercepted Zetronian communications. Twice he had to flatten himself against walls as strange mechanical devices floated past him. They resembled metal spheres with multiple appendages, probably maintenance drones. After 20 minutes of careful navigation, Jack reached a larger corridor. Here, he got his first look at actual Zetronians. Two of the tall, gray-skinned aliens walked past his hiding spot, discussing something in their clicking language. Their 4 yellow eyes seemed to glow in the dim light of the corridor. Jack waited until they passed, then slipped out into the main hallway. The interior of the ship was massive, with high ceilings and wide corridors. Everything was built to an inhuman scale, making Jack feel like a child in a world built for giants. He consulted the small display on his wrist. According to their best guess, the command center should be 17 levels up near the center of the ship. He needed to find a way to move upward without being spotted. A strange humming sound made him duck into a recessed doorway. A group of smaller aliens walked past, clearly not Zetronians. These were shorter than humans, with blue skin and oversized heads. They wore simple gray uniforms and moved with their heads down, escorted by a single Zetronian guard. Jack realized he was seeing members of one of the conquered species, forced to serve their Zetronian masters. The sight strengthened his resolve. This would be Earth's fate if he failed. Finding what appeared to be a lift system, Jack waited until no one was around, then stepped inside. The controls were alien, but he recognized numerical symbols from their intelligence briefings. He pressed what he hoped was the right sequence for the command deck. As the lift began to move, Jack checked his weapon, a special pistol designed by Dr. Wright that used concentrated energy bursts rather than bullets. It was humanity's most, advanced weapon, but against Zetronian armor, he wasn't sure how effective it would be. The lift slowed and Jack pressed himself against the wall, ready for whatever might be waiting when the doors opened. The mission had just begun, and already he was deeper into enemy territory than any human had ever gone before. Ian flagship. A plan, desperate and likely suicidal, began to form in his mind. Prepare the stealth system, he ordered, and get me everything we have on Zetronian ship layouts. Sir? Frank looked alarmed. You can't be thinking of going in there yourself? I'm not asking anyone to do what I'm not willing to do myself, Jack replied. And we're out of options. Either I find a way to stop them from the inside, or humanity becomes just another conquered species in their empire. He looked at the faces of his crew. I leave in 6 hours. Let's make them count. The lift doors opened to reveal a brightly lit corridor. Jack pressed himself against the wall, checking that his stealth suit was still functioning. The hallway was empty, but he could hear strange mechanical sounds coming from nearby rooms. He moved silently down the corridor, following the map displayed on his wrist device. According to their intelligence, this level contained research laboratories. Not where he needed to be, but maybe he could gather useful information here. Jack paused at a doorway where strange blue light spilled out. Inside, he saw equipment that reminded him of Earth laboratories but much more advanced. Glass containers lined the walls, filled with liquids of various colors. Some held floating objects that looked disturbingly like body parts from different species. He was about to move on when he heard a crash from inside the lab, followed by what sounded like a curse in an unfamiliar language. Jack hesitated, then peered around the doorframe. A small alien was picking up shattered glass from the floor. This creature wasn't a Zetronian. It had reddish skin, 6 fingers on each hand, and large, dome-like eyes. The alien wore what appeared to be restraints around its wrists and ankles. Suddenly, the alien looked up directly at Jack. Its large eyes widened in surprise. "I can see you," the creature said in broken English. "Stealth field not work on Archimedean eyes." Jack froze. His cover was blown. He pulled out his weapon and aimed it at the alien. "Don't make a sound," Jack warned. "I don't want to hurt you." The alien tilted its head. "You are human. From Earth?" It wasn't a question. "Why you here? All humans should be on planet waiting for destruction." "I'm here to stop that destruction," Jack replied. The alien made a strange sound that might have been laughter. One human? Against entire Zetronian empire? Impossible. "What's your name?" Jack asked, keeping his weapon ready but lowering it slightly. "I am called Krell. Was chief scientist of Archimedean Research Council before Zetronians conquered." "My world." Jack glanced at the restraints on Krell's wrists. "You're a prisoner." Krell nodded. "All who resist are made slaves. All who have knowledge are made to serve with that knowledge." The alien gestured to the laboratory around them. "I work on biological projects. Things to help Zetronians control other species better." "And if you refuse to work?" Krell pointed to a small device attached to the back of his neck. "Pain. Much pain. And if still refuse, death. Simple system. Very effective." Jack looked around the lab. "I need to get to the command center, to find Overlord Vexthor." Krell's eyes grew even wider. "You seek Vexthor himself? Truly impossible. Many guards. Many weapons." "I don't have a choice," Jack said. "It's him or my entire planet." Krell was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Why Zetronians not simply make humans slaves like others? Why destruction?" "I don't know," Jack admitted. "But I intend to find out before I kill him." The alien scientist moved closer, lowering his voice. "I know why. Humans are different. Special." Jack frowned. "Special how?" "Zetronian control methods, the ones I help create, they not work well on humans. Your brains have unique resistance. Vexthor fears this. Fears humans might spread resistance to other species." This was new information. Jack hadn't known that humans had any natural defense against the aliens. "Can you help me?" Jack asked. "Get me to Vexthor?" Krell seemed to consider this for a long moment. "If I help, you must promise something. When you face V this way," Krell whispered, pulling Jack toward a small panel in the wall that the human hadn't noticed before. The alien's 6-fingered hands worked quickly, pressing a hidden sequence that caused the panel to slide open. "Maintenance tunnels," Krell explained as they crawled into the narrow space. "Used by service drones mostly. Too small for Zetronians." The tunnel was cramped even for Jack. They moved in near darkness with only the faint glow from Krell's restraints providing any light. Behind them, they could hear the sounds of Zetronian guards searching the laboratory. "How did they know I was here?" Jack asked as they crawled forward. "Regular security scan," Krell said. "Happens every 2 hours. Your stealth tech good, but not perfect." They detected small power signature. They reached a junction where multiple tunnels met. Krell paused, considering which way to go. "Where exactly are we trying to reach?" Jack asked. "Not command center," Krell replied. "Too many guards now. We go to communications hub first. I have plan." Jack hesitated. Every minute brought Earth closer to the Zetronian deadline. But Krell had already proven helpful, and Jack had little choice but to trust the alien. "Lead the way," he said. They took the right tunnel, moving as quickly as they could in the confined space. After several minutes, they reached another panel. Krell pressed his eye against a small gap, checking if the coast was clear. No guards, he whispered, but 2 technicians, not Zetronian. They are Valerians, another conquered species. Jack readied his weapon. Can we take them by surprise? Krell shook his head. No need for violence. Valerians hate Zetronians more than anyone. They will help us. Before Jack could object, Krell pushed open the panel and called out in a strange language. The 2 blue-skinned aliens inside the room jumped in surprise, then quickly moved to close the door to the corridor. Rapid conversation in an alien language followed. Jack couldn't understand the words, but he could tell from the gestures and tone that Krell was explaining their situation. The 2 Valerians looked at Jack with what seemed like a mixture of fear and hope. They will help, Krell finally said to Jack. Nex and Zari say many enslaved species are watching Earth's situation closely. Many hope humans will somehow resist. Why? What makes us so special? Jack asked. One of the Valerians, Nex, Jack presumed, stepped forward and spoke. Krell translated. He says for centuries the Galactic Council has enforced strict non-interference policies. Many worlds wanted to warn Earth about the Zetronian threat, but Council laws prevented it. This Galactic Council sounds as bad as the Zetronians, Jack said. Krell shook his head. Different. Council believes in natural development of species. Zetronians believe in conquest and control. The second Valerian, Zari, was working at a communications console. She made a series of chirping sounds. She has accessed ship-wide communications, Krell translated. Can send message to all enslaved species on board. Many will help us if they can. Tell them we need to reach Overlord Vexthor, Jack said. And fast. As Krell translated, Zari's expression changed. She seemed alarmed. More rapid conversation followed. What's wrong? Jack asked. Vexthor has called emergency meeting of his commanders, Krell explained. He moves up timeline for Earth's destruction. No more waiting 48 hours. Attack begins in 2 hours. Jack felt cold dread in his stomach. Then we need to move now. Nex spoke again, pointing to a display showing the ship's layout. He shows us. Path to Vexthor's private chambers, Krell said. Less guarded than command center. Vexthor will go there after meeting to prepare for victory celebration. So we ambush him there, Jack said. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was all they had. Zari pressed something into Jack's hand. It looked like a small metal disc. Emergency transport beacon, Krell explained. If we succeed against Vexthor, this will take us to Galactic Council Station. There you can speak for Earth. First we need to deal with Vexthor, Jack said grimly. And we're running out of time. Nex opened a hidden doorway behind the communications console. He and Zari bowed slightly to Jack. They wish us luck, Krell said. They say all enslaved worlds watch now. What happens next will change everything. Jack nodded his thanks, then followed Krell into the passage that would lead them to the overlord of the Zetronian Empire. Vexthor, if you somehow succeed, you must free my people too. All enslaved worlds. I promise, Jack said without hesitation. Krell moved to a computer terminal and typed rapidly. I show you better way to command center. Secret passages for maintenance. But first, the alien reached for a small device on a nearby table. This will improve your stealth field. Make it work against more Zetronian security systems. As Krell worked on Jack's suit, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridor. What's happening? Jack asked, raising his weapon again. They know, Krell said simply. They know human is aboard. Jack and Krell moved through a series of narrow passages that spiraled upward through the massive ship. Occasionally they passed other enslaved aliens who gave them knowing looks but said nothing. Word of their mission had spread quickly through the hidden networks of the oppressed species. How much further? Jack whispered as they paused at a junction. 3 more levels, Krell replied. Vexthor's private chambers at very top of ship. Symbol of his power. He stands above all. The human. Checked the timer on his wrist device. We have less than 90 minutes before they attack Earth. They continued upward, moving as quickly as they dared. Jack could feel the weight of his mission with every step. The fate of his entire species rested on his shoulders. As they reached the final level, Krell suddenly stopped. Guards ahead. 2. Citronian elites. Jack peered through a small vent in the passage wall. He saw 2 of the largest Citronians he'd encountered yet. They wore ornate armor that seemed to glow with an inner light, and each carried what looked like energy spears. Elite Guardians, Krell whispered. Personal protectors of Vexthor. Very dangerous. Enhanced strength, enhanced senses. Can we go around them? Jack asked. Krell shook his head. No other way to chambers. Jack checked his weapon. Then we fight. The alien looked alarmed. No. Your weapon not strong enough. Their armor too powerful. Then what do you suggest? Krell reached into a pouch at his waist and pulled out a small vial of glowing blue liquid. Nerve toxin. My own creation. Meant for Citronian biological research. Very potent, very fast. How do we use it? Ventilation system, Krell explained, pointing to small ducts above the guards. Drop vial, it breaks, they breathe, they sleep. Not die, just sleep. Jack nodded. It was better than a direct confrontation. Krell carefully removed a section of the passage ceiling, revealing the ventilation shaft above. With practiced precision, he placed the vial in a small delivery tube, aimed it at the duct above the guards, and pressed a button. The vial shot silently into the vent. They heard glass breaking, followed by confused grunts from the guards. Then, silence. Wait 30 seconds, Krell whispered. Ensure toxin dispersed. After counting down, they opened the passage door and found both guards unconscious on the floor. Jack quickly took one of their energy spears. This might be more effective than my pistol, he said. They approached massive doors decorated with strange symbols and glowing gems. This had to be the entrance to Vexthor's private chambers. How do we get in? Jack asked. Krell examined the control panel beside the door. Need Citronian DNA. He moved to one of the unconscious guards and carefully extracted a small sample of blood, using a tool from his pouch. He applied this to the panel, and the doors slid open. They entered a vast chamber that was more like a palace than a room on a spaceship. Elaborate artwork covered the walls, and strange alien artifacts were displayed on pedestals throughout the space. A large window showed the stars outside, with Earth visible in the distance. Vexthor not here yet, Krell said. Still, in command meeting. We wait. Jack moved around the chamber, studying their surroundings and looking for potential advantages. On one wall hung what appeared to be weapons. Ceremonial perhaps, but they looked deadly nonetheless. Among them was a large curved blade with glowing runes along its edge. What's this? Jack asked, pointing to the blade. Kravak ceremonial, sword, Krell explained. Used by Citronian overlords for thousands of years. Symbol of authority and power. Used in official executions of enemy leaders. Jack reached for the weapon, but Krell stopped him. Careful. Alarm systems everywhere. Before they could discuss further, they heard footsteps approaching from outside. The doors began to open. Vexthor moved to a large control panel in the center of the room. His long fingers danced across the glowing surface as he reviewed data streams. The 2 elite guards stood at attention near the doors. Begin the final preparations, the overlord ordered. I want to watch Earth burn personally. One guard nodded and left the chamber. Now there was only Vexthor and 1 guard remaining. Jack looked at Krell, who was hidden behind a different statue. The alien scientist held up 3 fingers, then 2, then 1. Jack burst from his hiding place, firing the energy spear at the remaining guard. The beam struck the Citronian directly in the chest, sending him crashing to the floor. Before Vexthor could react, Jack was already charging toward him. The overlord turned, his yellow eyes widening in surprise. A human? Here? He recovered quickly and pressed something on his armor. A glowing shield of energy formed around him, deflecting Jack's next shot. Your primitive weapons cannot harm me, Vexthor said, his voice filled with contempt. You truly are a foolish species if you think one human could challenge me, Krell emerged from hiding and threw a small device at Vexthor. It attached to the Overlord's armor and sparked wildly. The energy shield flickered and died. "He is not alone," Krell said. "None of your slaves are loyal anymore, Vexthor." The Overlord's face contorted with rage. He reached to his belt and pulled out a weapon of his own, a small but deadly-looking pistol. He fired at Krell, who barely dodged the blast. The wall behind him exploded in a shower of sparks. Jack fired the energy spear again, but Vexthor moved, with surprising speed for his size. The Overlord ducked behind a large piece of furniture, firing back with his pistol. "You are too late, human," Vexthor called out. "The attack sequence has already been initiated. In less than 30 minutes, your world will be destroyed." "Then I'll just have to stop it in the next 29, Jack replied, moving to a better position. The Overlord laughed. "The sequence can only be stopped with my personal authorization. Even if you somehow killed me, Earth would still be doomed." Jack glanced at Krell, who shook his head. "He speaks truth. Only his biosignature can stop attack." Jack needed a new plan. He couldn't kill Vexthor, not if he wanted to save Earth. He needed to capture him alive. Vexthor used the momentary pause to launch a surprise attack. He vaulted over his cover with unexpected agility and fired 3 rapid shots at Jack. One caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around and sending the energy spear clattering to the floor. Pain shot through Jack's body, but the stealth suit absorbed some of the blast. He rolled behind a pillar, breathing hard. "Your resistance is pointless," Vexthor said, stalking toward Jack's position. "But I must admit, I'm impressed you made it this far. Perhaps humans are more interesting than I thought. It's almost a shame we have to destroy you." While Vexthor's attention was on Jack, Krell had circled around the room. The alien scientist now stood near the wall of ceremonial weapons. With careful movements, he removed the Kravak sword from its display and slid it across the floor toward Jack. The blade made a soft scraping sound as it traveled across the polished floor. Vexthor turned at the noise, but too late. Jack lunged for the sword, grasping its handle and rolling to his feet in one smooth motion. The Overlord fired again, but Jack was already moving. He closed the distance between them with desperate speed. The glowing blade held before him. Vexthor tried to adjust his aim, but Jack was too close. The human slashed upward with the ceremonial sword. The blade cut through Vexthor's armored wrist, severing his hand and sending the pistol flying. The Overlord roared in pain and fury. He grabbed Jack with his remaining hand, lifting him off the ground. "You dare?" Vexthor snarled, his face inches from Jack's. "You dare to wound me? I will make your death last days." Jack struggled in the powerful grip the sword still clutched in his hand. Vexthor began to squeeze, and Jack felt his ribs creaking under the pressure. With one final effort, he swung the blade again. The Kravak sword sliced cleanly through Vexthor's neck. For a moment, nothing happened. The Overlord's grip loosened slightly, then his head slowly slid from his shoulders and fell to the floor with a heavy thud. His body remained standing for a few seconds before collapsing. "He comes," Krell whispered urgently. "Hide." Jack ducked behind a large statue as the doors fully opened. Overlord Vexthor entered, followed by 2 more elite guards. The Zetronian ruler was even more imposing in person than he had appeared on the video transmission. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, his gray skin almost luminescent under his ornate armor. "Soon Earth will be nothing but dust," Vexthor said to his guards in his strange, clicking language, which Jack's translator rendered into English. "And the human threat will be eliminated forever." Jack gripped the energy spear tightly. The moment to act had come. Jack fell to his knees, gasping for breath. The Overlord's body lay before him, dark fluid spreading across the floor. Krell rushed to his side. "You did it," the alien scientist said, his large eyes wide with disbelief. "You killed Vexthor." Jack looked at the severed head of the Zetronian ruler. Its yellow eyes were still open, frozen in an expression of shock and rage. "It won't matter if we can't stop the attack," Jack said, wincing as he stood. His shoulder burned where Vexthor's weapon had hit him. "You said only his biosignature could stop it." Krell moved quickly to the control panel Vexthor had been using. Maybe not stop, but redirect. His six-fingered hands flew across the controls. I helped design many Zetronian systems. There are always backdoors. Alarms began to sound throughout the chamber. The doors slid open and 3 elite guards rushed in. They stopped short at the sight of their dead leader. "We need to go now," Jack said, grabbing Vexthor's head by its gray hair. He wasn't sure why he took it. Instinct, perhaps, or a desire for proof. Krell pulled out the transport beacon the Valerians had given them. Attack sequence redirected to empty space, Earth safe for now, but more guards coming. "What about the other enslaved species on the ship?" Jack asked. He couldn't leave them to face the Zetronians' wrath. "Emergency evacuation protocols activated," Krell explained quickly. "All non-Zetronians directed to escape pods. Nex and Zari's doing, I think." The guards had recovered from their shock and were raising their weapons. Jack grabbed the ceremonial sword in one hand, the severed head in the other. "Do it," he ordered. Krell activated the beacon. A blinding light surrounded them as the guards opened fire. Jack felt a strange pulling sensation, as if his body was being stretched in all directions at once. The world around him disappeared. When his vision cleared, Jack found himself in a vast circular chamber. Tall windows revealed the blackness of space outside, with distant stars twinkling. Around him stood dozens of aliens of various species, all staring at him in shock. "Where are we?" Jack asked Krell, who had materialized beside him. "Galactic Council Station," the scientist replied. "Central meeting chamber. War Council is in session." Jack realized they had transported directly into the middle of some kind of important gathering. The aliens around them wore formal attire, some with elaborate decorations that suggested high rank. Many had backed away when Jack and Krell appeared, and several guards of different species had moved forward. "Who dares interrupt the War Council?" demanded a tall, thin alien with silvery skin. "This chamber is protected by the highest security." "Measures!" Krell stepped forward. "Emergency transport protocols. Council Law Section 527 allows direct access in cases of galactic significance." The silvery alien looked outraged. "What could possibly—" Jack held up Vexthor's head, still dripping dark fluid. The entire chamber fell silent. A single human, Krell announced to the stunned assembly, walked into the Zetronian flagship and killed Overlord Vexthor. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Jack heard translations in multiple languages as the news rippled outward. Some aliens looked horrified, others amazed, and a few seemed almost jubilant. A small group of Zetronians present at the council surged forward in rage, but guards quickly restrained them. Another alien stepped forward from what appeared to be a central platform. This creature had blue-green skin and 4 arms. When it spoke, its voice carried across the chamber with surprising authority. "The human will speak," it said. "Council protocols are clear. One who defeats a galactic warlord in personal combat and bears the proof has the right to address the full assembly." The silvery alien who had spoken first see the council chamber remained silent as Jack continued to speak. For too long, powers like the Zetronian Empire have been allowed to conquer and enslave. For too long, this council has stood by and watched, hiding behind policies of non-interference. Some of the alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. Others nodded in agreement. "Today, that changes," Jack said. "I didn't just come here for Earth. I came for all the worlds Vexthor enslaved. The Archimedeans, the Valerians, and every other species forced to serve the Empire." Krell stepped forward. "I can confirm this human's words. He risked his life not just for his own people, but for mine and others. Without his actions, many more worlds would have fallen." The blue-green alien with 4 arms raised a hand for silence as council members began to talk among themselves. "I am High Counselor Zex," it said. "For 10,000 cycles, the Galactic Council has maintained order through careful balance. We have allowed the Zetronian Empire certain freedoms to maintain that balance." "You mean you looked the other way while they conquered and enslaved?" Jack said. Several gasps echoed through the chamber at his boldness. No one interrupted a High Counselor. "Perhaps," Zex admitted, surprising Jack. But the galaxy is complex, human. More complex than you can understand. Another council member stepped forward, one of the blue-skinned Valerians. The human speaks truth we have avoided too long. Vexthor's death changes everything. The Empire will fracture without his leadership, which could lead to chaos, argued a different alien. Civil war among the Zetronian factions, worse suffering for conquered worlds. Jack looked at the severed head on the table. Or it could lead to freedom, to a new beginning. The High Counselor studied Jack with what seemed like curiosity. What exactly do you propose, Commander Miller of Earth? Jack hadn't planned this far ahead. He had come to save his planet, not to reshape galactic politics. But standing here, he saw an opportunity. First, immediate protection for Earth. No, retaliation from remaining Zetronian forces. Zex nodded. Reasonable. Second, freedom for all worlds enslaved by the Empire. Help them rebuild, restore their independence. This caused more murmuring, but the High Counselor did not immediately object. And third, Jack continued, Earth joins this council as a full member. No more keeping us in the dark about the wider galaxy. We've proven we belong here. Now the chamber erupted in debate. Many aliens seemed outraged at the suggestion. Others appeared supportive. The High Counselor raised all four arms for silence. Bold demands from a species that has just discovered interstellar travel exists, Zex said. Yet you have done what many thought impossible. You have eliminated the greatest threat to galactic stability in 10,000 cycles. The Counselor moved to stand directly before Jack. There is something you should know, Commander Miller. Earth was never ignored by accident. Jack frowned. What do you mean? Your planet has been watched for centuries. Humans possess unique qualities. Resistance to psychic control is just one of them. Your adaptability, your creativity, your determination, these are rare in the galaxy. Jack thought about how he had managed to infiltrate the flagship, ally with Krell, and defeat Vexthor against impossible odds. Some on this council feared these qualities, Zex continued. Others wished to study them. We compromised by keeping Earth isolated, allowing your natural development without interference. Until the Zetronians decided to destroy us, Jack pointed out. Zex nodded. An unfortunate development we failed to prevent, but perhaps a fortunate one as well. Your actions today have proven what some of us have long suspected. Humanity's proper place is among the stars. The High Counselor turned to address the full assembly. I propose we accept Commander Miller's terms. Earth receives full protection. Enslaved worlds are freed with Council assistance, and humanity joins our ranks. A formal vote followed. Jack watched as representatives from hundreds of worlds registered their positions. When it finished, the result appeared on a large display in alien symbols. The motion carries, Zex announced. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Commander Miller. You and your species have much to learn, but perhaps we have much to learn from you as well. 3 months later, Jack stood on the observation deck of Earth's new orbital station. Below, he could see the planet recovering from the brief Zetronian attack. Alien ships from dozens of friendly worlds moved in orbit, bringing technology, knowledge, and alliance offers. Dr. Wright joined him at the viewport. Not bad for a mission that was supposed to be suicide, she said with a smile. Jack nodded. One human with a desperate plan. And now we're part of something bigger, she said, gesturing to the stars. All because you walked into that war council with Vexthor's head, Jack smiled. The future's going to be interesting. That, Dr. Wright agreed, is an understatement. Met about to object, then bowed slightly and stepped back. Jack looked around. At the assembled representatives of countless alien civilizations, they were all waiting for him to speak. He had never imagined being in such a position, a single human standing before the powers that controlled the galaxy. My name is Commander Jack Miller, he began, his voice steady despite his exhaustion and pain. I come from Earth, a planet that until today was about to be destroyed by the Zetronian Empire. He placed Vexthor's head on a table in the center of the chamber. "I'm not here to ask for your help or your mercy," Jack continued. "I'm here to tell you that humanity will no longer be ignored or threatened.